Hey, Chessery, I'm just going to go through your email through a video because I think it's just easier to respond, and you won't have any miscommunication or less miscommunication. Now, looking at references, one of the issues is that you're using Zotero, and these automatic referencing systems are an issue because the data with which they bring in the references is incorrect. And yes, you have to go in and remove and edit manually all the references. And so that's how you remove the retrieve from. My suggestion, though, is to not use either really understand how to use something like Zotero or um, RefWorks or whatever tool you're using, and understand that you have to completely edit that file to make sure that the references are correct, or don't use it at all. But you need to understand that these systems do not do proper referencing. Well, they're limited to the data that's been input into them, and often that is incorrect. This reference looks correct here, and for the conference. You would never have a title for a chapter, so it would be for your thesis. And this is a good start, although I don't think you want to actually say 18 free online coding platforms. A comparative analysis of instructional components of free online coding platforms. Now, the for beginners is interesting. That may not be specific enough, but this is at least a start. I would encourage you to understand what's the population you're targeting. What's a beginner? Like someone who's a middle school student or a high school student, or it doesn't matter, or is it? So now, you're talking about hallucinations, sometimes does fake information. Yeah. Well, the hallucinations have been reduced quite a bit with current paid versions of chatbots. Now, as a search tool, you should be using it as a search tool, but not the chatbot. There are other tools that I will bring in class, or that you could look on um, in the resources section from the course outline. Semantic Scholar, for example, Cite, Research Rabbit. These are very, very good tools, effective tools. The new Google Scholar tool. You really should use those tools for searching. The other thing that you can do is a deep search for information. It's really valuable. And I'll also show you in class Notebook LM, which really narrows the chances of hallucinations coming up. I wouldn't use a tool to edit or rewrite to rewrite. You could. I actually am proposing a tool called Sword Writer, which I created that could help you, but definitely get Grammarly back. Sometimes it doesn't matter if it's buggy on it's less buggy now, let's put it that way, and so I would definitely get it back. Now, in terms of Kilvallo, the reference you're giving is a 2016 reference. That's 10 years old, and you need to come up with a lot better justification for why programming is needed. And so you're going to have to dig deeply and find multiple references about why, because this is the basis of your program. Coding is needed. And then you're going to have to establish why self learning is actually important. Just because it's your interest doesn't make it research worthy. You have to make an argument for why self-learning is actually really, really important. I think you should also look at Uh, you probably using a Notebook LM or a paid chatbot to say what you're an expert in coding and learning to code for K to 12 learners and the value of this. You're also a researcher in this area. Um, what impact, if any, does AI have on the need for for coding and how people will learn to code? Because I think that's really important for you to put there. You added a paragraph about why platforms are important. I don't think I want to say that some platforms are poor in my research. Well, if you're doing a comparative analysis, you have to be open to saying what are the benefits or the strengths of a particular platform and what are the weaknesses, if you want to say, or challenges that those platforms. There's no you don't need to have a final assessment of whether something's poor or not, but I think actually some sort of rating scale would be really helpful, and it helps you standardize what your assessment is. If you don't have a standardized tool, if it's just your impressions, it's really not that useful. So you have to think about that. I will be using these websites myself to achieve the answers. Okay, so that's not going to be enough. Just you doing it isn't enough. There has to be something. There has to be inter-rater reliability, a second person looking at those websites. There has to be, I would actually almost say you could do AI as a check as well in terms of the websites, but there has to be this standardized criteria, and it just can't be you because you're biased. That's just, and you have each of us has limitations, so you're going to have another person checking that. Now, your initial intention was to determine which platform more suitable for novice programmers, um, but I don't think you can say that because you're not actually trying it out on novice programmers. So, uh, and I will take their scale and make it better. So that's good. Um, Final goal to assess. Yeah, that's fine. These questions are fine, but the last question is going to be difficult to actually answer because you don't know how they're being used in a pedagogical way. Uh, the question is, doctor needed a summary question to make the previous ones meaningful. I just don't think the pedagogy is important, but you're going to say, how are you going to answer that? It's not a bad question. So yeah, and so now I don't know what you prefer to be called, Chessery, and I don't. I'm happy to try your um, assigned name. I looked it up. It's like Qiye. Is that? I probably have that wrong. Qiye, something like that. So, but you can help me with that. And I changed the course survey links. So, okay. So there's my feedback.